Welcome to 9 Nerd Yards. This episode of Atlanta was surely something, but before I get into the episode, I want to say thank you so much for helping me reach 700 subscribers. Just a couple of months ago, I was scheming on how I could get 200 subscribers by the end of the summer. Now I feel like Marquez Brownlee, like Mr. Beast. I feel like my little brother from episode 3.
We can make all that back through subscriptions.
To what?
The art.
Oh.
But again, thank you so much for hitting that sub button, and let's get into the show. Episode 4, The Big Payback, is another one-off episode like the season premiere. The episode stars Justin Bartha from Hangover and National Treasure fame. He plays Marshall Johnson, a white guy. I wish I had a better way to describe him, but I'm positive that is his actual character description. We're introduced to Marshall while he's waiting in line at a coffee shop, perusing their selection of Madeleines. He's listening to a podcast, minding his own business, while a black guy is having a dispute for unknown reasons. We hear the podcast voice talking about how people might be able to talk to dolphins.
How would a dolphin say it?
I don't know.
Well, and you know what? That is exactly kind of the question of this next segment. I mean, the dream that a human being can talk to a dolphin or any animal.
The dispute is no concern to Marshall, so he gets his coffee and dips out. Marshall gets to his car and realizes that he has accidentally stolen the Madeleines that he was looking at earlier in the coffee shop. I did find a work from the novelist Marcel Proust, In Search of Lost Time, and it turns out in that work, Madeleines are a symbol of the past that arises unintentionally. I feel like it definitely fits the narrative of the episode. But anyway, Marshall pulls out of the parking lot and we notice a car seems to be tailing him. So Marshall is picking up his daughter at his estranged wife's house. He makes small talk about a lamp before his daughter comes to the door. And while Marshall is driving his daughter to school, he's listening to some talk show radio, some NPR type of shit. We hear an interview that's being conducted about an early Tesla investor that is being sued for reparations.
Well, yes. In the case of the Tesla trial, you have a black man suing Josh Beckford, an early investor in Tesla, due to the fact that his ancestors were enslaved by relatives of Mr. Beckford's. That human capital and profit can be directly linked to the financials of the company.
The radio host explains that the lawsuit did turn out in favor of paying reparations, which in this case has a historical precedent that hasn't been set before in this universe. So Marshall turns off the radio, he's not really paying attention to it. Throughout the episode, we see Marshall getting calls from an unknown caller that he blatantly ignores, and maybe that is just lending more to a theme of an past coming up unintentionally. But Marshall drops his daughter off at school and heads to work, and when he arrives at work, we see the car that was tailing him before at the coffee shop is also at his work's parking lot, but of course he doesn't notice it. Marshall works for a corporate office for a company called Superior Shrimp. Make of that what you will. But when Marshall gets into work, it is very clear that everyone is on edge about the reparations ruling, but again, he's not very concerned about it. His company is having a meeting about possible layoffs, showing that they already are feeling the effects of the reparations ruling. But there's this part during that meeting about the layoffs that this lady just blurts out saying,
"This is ridiculous."
Now I know,
which I just thought was super funny for some reason. But again, Marshall doesn't seem to be concerned as everyone else is in the office about the reparations. But most people at his work are looking up their family tree to see where they stand. Basically, the whole office is on Ancestry.com and are really finding out about themselves. By the end of the day, we got people crying in the parking lot because they know they're about to get demonetized. After work, Marshall picks up his daughter from school and she asks if their family is racist. So clearly things are happening fast as hell. It seems like kids at the school have been looking up each other and putting people on blast. But Marshall tells his daughter that reparations doesn't even make sense.
Stuff happened a long, long time ago. All right, we're Austro-Hungarian. We were enslaved during the Byzantine Empire. What, should I fly to Hungary and demand money now? That would be ridiculous, right?
But when you look into it, like actually they tried to end slavery or like try to at least phase it out way before the Atlantic slave trade even happened. So that's a pretty loose argument that he's got going. He's really reaching back. So Marshall gets home and has a spaghetti dinner with his daughter, which seems to be another theme with these one-off episodes that Atlanta is doing. If you remember, Laquarius in the first episode complains about having spaghetti when he wakes up before being sent out to those white ladies' house and is eating spaghetti in his kitchen revelation at the end of the episode when he seems to be alerted to something creeping up on him, or possibly a knock at the door. For Marshall in this episode, while he's eating his spaghetti, it's a knock at the door to inform him that he's been served to pay reparations to
Shaniqua Johnson of the St. Louis Johnsons.
And it's also revealed that she has been the one that's been tailing him all day, just getting a feel for his lifestyle, I think. So Shaniqua is actually live streaming the whole encounter and goes up in his house and looks to see what she's got coming to her. But let me take a second to talk about reparations. Reparations is an interesting concept to me because I was actually born in Zimbabwe, but lived in the US for basically my whole life. So I recognize the need for some type of reparations, but I also wonder how it would work. Like, obviously, me and my family wouldn't get reparations, right? Because we're just Africans, not African American. But how would the government decide who gets reparations and how much? Would we even trust our current government to make that decision? There's a ton of information on the topic, but an article I found that piqued my interest was The Case for Reparations, written by Ta-Nehisi for The Atlantic. I'll link that article and also a video of him on the topic in the description, and it's there if y'all are interested in checking it out. Ta-Nehisi also has a run of Black Panther that is actually pretty dope. I got a copy of the first issue, and yeah, that shit actually slaps. But back to the episode. So the next day, Marshall goes to work, and it's a ghost town.
Where's...
All the Black people? Besides Willie and Lester, they didn't come in today.
He goes up to his coworker, and this lady's demeanor has completely switched up because she found out that she's like 60% Jewish. He hits her with that Byzantine Empire shit, and she's not having it.
The Austro-Hungarians were slaves as well.
Come on, Marshall. That was like 1,000,000 years ago.
In the bathroom, there's a dude that's wearing an I owned slaves shirt. Turns out that he's being sued by a Black family that is making him just acknowledge his history by wearing the shirt 2 times a week. Yeah, I think he definitely got off easy. But again, I don't even understand how this universe's reparations works. Marshall realizes that Shaniqua has actually shown up at his work and has a bullhorn telling everyone his family's past.
Marshall Johnson's great-great-granddaddy was a slave owner.
Not true.
He owned my great-great-granddaddy. You need to pay up $3 million.
Marshall asks for advice from his Black coworkers, and when they tell him to talk to her about it and give her as much money as he can, he ain't having it and asks his white coworkers what he should do, and they tell him to fight it. One of his coworkers finds out that they are 100% Nordic, and we get the funniest line in the episode.
This concerns all of us, Willie.
No, don't ask.
Marshall gets a text from his estranged wife, and you can see that her tone has shifted too. Just the day before, she sent white emojis, but today she's turned the melanin up, and she's demanding to talk about things. So Marshall shows up to her place, and she even changed her whole color palette because she's Peruvian now.
I'm Peruvian. This would never happen to me.
You were white yesterday.
She doesn't want to be tied down to a white guy if that means her finances are going to take a hit, so they need to get them divorce papers signed right away. I thought this was a funny little thing because as he's walking away, he notices that the lamp he was asking for is in the dumpster now. And when he gets back home, they already got a full-on cookout in the front yard. Shaniqua calls her cousin, nephew, Jason on him, and he kicks off his flip-flop and goes full-out T2 Judgment Day on him. So Marshall has been basically kicked out of his own house. His wife left him and has to stay at a hotel. And at this point, he's kind of hit rock bottom. Then again, the hotel room in that spot kind of looks nice. If you're asking me, I've seen way worse. Marshall makes his way down to the hotel lounge to have a drink, and this is when the episode dips into the surreal. And I feel like this is when we really get into the meat and potatoes of the episode, because Marshall ends up having a drink and striking up a conversation with the dude that we know as the fishing spooky lake guy in episode 1 of the season. And interestingly enough, it is revealed that the fishing guy's name is Ernest.
Name's Ernest. Friends call me E.
But his friends call him E, which raises so many questions. Marshall and Ernest start some small talk, and Ernest deduces that they are in the same boat, meaning they both owe reparations. Ernest listens to Marshall's story, but doesn't agree with Marshall when he says they don't deserve this. Ernest says that maybe it's only right that this is happening, and asks Marshall to consider what African Americans deserve, to consider the fact that slavery is not an obscure mystery, and now it can't be ignored because now history has a monetary value.
Slavery is not past, and it's not a mystery. It is not an historical curiosity. It is a cruel, unavoidable ghost that haunts in a way we can't see.
He goes on by saying that through reparations, a curse has been lifted from them. And honestly, I thought this motherfucker was spitting, but then he goes to the pool and hits himself with that click clack bang. And man, the imagery in this scene is so strong to me. I'm getting Shining Jack Torrance vibes, but I also feel like there is a callback to Van pushing people into the pool last episode. I think the parallels are clear. And with the revelation of this white guy's name being Ernest, but was also in Ern's dream in the premiere, I have so many questions that I do believe we will get the answers to as the season goes on. We don't know what world this episode is taking place in. There is no implication to say that this was all a dream. No one wakes up spontaneously revealing that it was all a dream. I am sure we will see this Ern again in some context, and I may also go as far to predict that our Ern and Ernest will somehow meet in the regular timeline. Damn, it's getting so hard to talk about the show. We are getting into the Atlanta multiverse. The next episode, Van is about to show up as her Deadpool Domino character, but I do think our Ern and Ernest will meet in the main timeline in some weird and uncomfortable way that brings the themes of this season full circle. Anyway, the episode ends with Marshall as a waiter. Before Marshall's shift starts, we see that he has to claim what percentage of his wages are going to reparation payments. His percentage is at 15%, which is considered pretty high. I think other people said that they are doing 10%. We can see Marshall is obviously going through it, but he also seems to be content with his job and has a friend in the pack that he chats with and is kind of getting along with. The last shot of the episode is Marshall serving exquisite dishes to a majority black customer base. A complete 180 to the start of the episode when a black guy is having a hard time with the barista in a mostly white coffee shop. If I'm going to be honest, this episode was kind of disappointing. I think I just missed the main gang, and really, the whole time I was thinking to myself, the Chappelle Show did it better.
If you're just joining us, black people got their reparations checks today, and in short, all hell is broken loose.
Even though I do appreciate the one-offs, I just feel like I could have gotten one more episode with the main gang before this episode. Also, I feel like the end of the episode was the best part only because it adds continuity to the rest of the season, and E was spitting gems before he took a dip. I'm loving the feedback and the comments I've gotten from everyone in my last videos. Atlanta is a very thought-provoking show, and it's great to see all of the theories that y'all have in the comments. This season, one specific character has gotten a lot of attention, and that's Van. So I'm going to call this little segment of fan theories about Van, Van theories, Van, got it, Van theories. Van theory number 1, Van is dead. So there has been this theory floating around in the comments that Van is dead. Although no evidence was provided, the theory was also in the Atlanta subreddit, so it seems to be based around the fact that in episode 3, there is a little production error or illusion where Van seems to be walking through a light post, and yeah, that is all of the evidence there is to the theory. And I thought I've been reaching, but honestly, keep theories like this coming. I love this type of shit. There has been another theory going around that is so heinous that I almost don't want to repeat it. One commenter wrote, I think Van was getting her back beat out by Darius. LOL. Only reason to be getting ice at 4 a.m. Plus, everybody was accounted for in the end, but Darius. And oh man. Okay, let's do this. Okay, this is in reference to episode 2 when Van arrives in Amsterdam. And as much as I want to say that it's not true, maybe it is. Although Van has said that she has a boyfriend, Van has also been acting very strange this season and throwing a lot of caution to the wind. I mean, you gotta be in a very secure relationship if you let your girl go on a Euro tour with her baby daddy. Would any girl let their guy go on a Euro tour with their baby mama? I really don't know who's getting away with that. Now, on Darius's end, the only way I see them playing it is if he doesn't even think that he did anything wrong. You know how Darius is just out of social norms? I can see him actually not thinking that it was a bad thing, saying something like, I don't know what the big deal is, Ern. I've slept with basically everyone Al has slept with. And Al would get mad like,
steal somebody's furniture or some shit. Fuck his wife. I don't know shit. Fuck!
I personally don't think that they would take the show in that direction, and there are other reasons why you would be getting ice at that time, but then again, it's just the way the scene plays out that adds an implication that Van was up to something.
So,
Nothing, I got some ice.
you getting ice at 4 in the morning?
Yeah. Night.
And Darius was spending the whole day with her. Darius picked her up in the van. Maybe he was trying to get in the van too. Maybe she was curious about his crushed balls and one thing led to another. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Keep the fan theories coming. But yeah, those are just some fan theories. Some fan theories. Let me know what you think about these and tell me some more in the comments. I really do love them. This is like part of the reason I watch Atlanta, just because I love the discussion that it brings up. I would love to do a whole video of all of your theories and predictions and see which ones come true. Anyway, that's a wrap on episode 4. Wasn't my favorite, but I'm very excited to see what happens next with the main gang next week. And before I go, I just want to say thanks again for subscribing and for all of the feedback. Of course, Atlanta can't go on forever, and this season took 4 years to come out, so just let me know what else you would like to see from the channel. I would really like to build up a community with all of you, and also some of you have reached out to me talking about making your own videos and starting your own YouTube channels. Please just send me the link to your video if you do make a channel. You definitely have a watch, you definitely have a subscribe for me. Let's collaborate like Paperboy in Clark County.
I flex on a bitch like, I just got a jet like.
I've been at like 100 subscribers for like the past 2 years, and it really feels great to have you guys vibing out with the content and all of the feedback and positivity that you guys are showing me. And you know, I would love to bring that to someone else too. This is 9 Nerd Yards. Like and subscribe as Reparations.